Today is July 12th, 2014. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I will be interviewing John Burford.
Burford.
Burford?
Yes.
Okay. We will be interviewing at Springfield, Illinois at the American Legion Convention.
Department convention.
And Kent Evans will be the court reporter. Okay. Mr. Burford, I am going to ask you some questions, and first off, can you tell me where and when you were born?
I was born October the 19th, 1956 in Effingham, in St. Anthony Hospital in Effingham, Illinois, I believe.
Okay. And what were your parents' names?
James and Gertrude Burford.
And what did they do for a living?
My father was an electrician, and when I was born, my mom took care of us kids. And then later on, she was working at a eye doctor, and then later on, she went back to work for him after we got out of high school.
Did you have any siblings?
I had 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Did any of them go into the military?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What were you doing before you entered the service?
I was in high school.
Okay. Did you enlist, or
Yes.
were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Okay. In which branch of the military did you?
Navy.
Navy. Okay. And what years were you in the Navy?
From July of 74 to October of 78.
What made you enlist?
I figured I was going to be an electrician in T-Topless, so I wanted to go out and do something different for 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Do you remember the day that you enlisted?
The day, yeah. I not really the day I enlisted, more than the day I decided to enlist. You had to take a test, and I remember taking that test. I think it was in April of 74.
And where did you do that at?
My house, my dad's house.
What happened when you departed for training? Training camp, did you go by bus, airplane?
I had to go to Des Moines, Iowa. So my parents took me to Des Moines, Iowa, and there I think we took a plane to Great Lakes.
Okay. Do you remember getting off the plane? Did you take a bus to?
Yeah, I think we got bused to Great Lakes from, I think O'Hare maybe, I don't know. I can't remember that.
Okay. When you first saw your instructor, what did you think?
I didn't, can't remember that.
You can't. Okay. Did you like your instructor?
Oh, he's all right.
He was okay. Did you receive any special training?
Just basic boot camp for your Navy boot camp.
Did you go to any special training after boot camp?
Yeah, we went to, after I got out of boot camp, I went to across the street in Great Lakes and went to basic electricity school, beep school we called it, and then I went to FTA school.
And where'd you go to there?
Everything was at Great Lakes.
Everything was at Great Lakes. How long of a schools were they?
I think beep school was like a month. That was, you set your own pace at that, and then the FTA school was, I think, 13 weeks. Then we was off 2 weeks for Christmas, I do believe.
Okay. And where were you assigned after that?
After that, I got assigned to the Long Beach, and after I flew out of St. Louis, and flew to Travis Air Force Base, and then we got a plane and we flew to the Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines, and they bused us down to Subic Bay, and then I got on the ship there.
Okay. And what was the ship's name? Do you remember?
Long Beach, USS Long Beach.
Okay. And where'd you go on the Long Beach?
First in I division for a week, indoctrination, and then I got assigned to FA division. I worked in WDE and on the weapons direction equipment and CIC that was my work center when I was on Long Beach.
Okay. And can you explain to me what all those initials are?
Weapons direction equipment, WDE is weapons direction equipment, and I don't know, FA division was just the name of our division. I don't know if the initials meant anything or not.
Okay. And the first time you were on a ship, did you get sick?
I didn't get, you felt motion, but I didn't get sick.
Okay. How was the food?
Well, there was good meals and bad meals.
Okay. Did you have bunks or did you have?
Yes, we had bunks.
Where all did you serve?
Meaning? What place we all go?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the first time we got deployed was in Subic because we were a nuke boat, and that was a big. Philippines about the only place they didn't like us in Japan for some reason. So we went to Philippines, and then we were in Bangkok, and we did go to Japan the first time we was deployed, and then we went to Busan, South Korea for a while, and then we went back. I think we came back to the States, and we was stationed in San Diego. That was our home port, was San Diego, and then we got deployed. I don't know. We stayed home about 14 months, and we got deployed again. That time, I think we went to Perth, Australia. We went to Auckland, New Zealand, Melbourne, and back. We spent most of the time in the Philippines, and we always went out to, every time we got deployed, we'd always go to the Indian Ocean for about 2 months. And went to Port Louis one deployment, and then we was most of the time was in Subic. That was Subic Bay was the place we was at. That port we was in mostly.
Did you get any R&R?
Yes. Well, we got Liberty and that was kind of the ports that we'd go. I think the last deployment went to Bangkok, Singapore, and Perth, Australia, and then we'd be 4 or 5 days there. We'd get 4 days off or 3 days off, depending on what our duty was.
Did you buy anything while you were?
Yeah, I bought stereos when we was in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have them?
Yeah, I don't know if it works or not, but I still got it.
How about mail call? What was that like, being on the ship?
When it was in the States, it was a daily thing. We got it daily. When it was overseas, especially when it was out at sea, it might be a week, and it was a big event when we were out at sea. I mean, it might be a week, 2 weeks in between, so it was a pretty big event.
And how did you get it? Were you docked and they brought it to you?
No, a lot of times we'd get it from, if we was out at sea, we'd go, a lot of times we'd get helicopter. They'd come in on helicopter.
Okay. And what about food and supplies? Did you have enough of those?
Yeah, we unrep at sea, invert rep at sea, so we didn't have to refuel at sea, so we always had to get food, and that was the only thing that kept us, that we had to tie up. But we'd convert rep and unrep, and Philippine Islands, we'd go there, we'd always get load up with supplies and stuff.
What kind of friendship and camaraderie did you form while serving? Did you make friends real good?
Yeah, we were all about the same age from anywhere. Most of us were in between like 18 and 21, and the guys came from all over. I usually got along best with the guys that we did like do the same things. Man, I had a friend of mine from South Dakota. We were pretty good friends. A guy from up at Downers Grove in Chicago, and a guy from Philadelphia. Those are the 3 guys that I think are. Oops, no motion, huh? And those are my best. Those are the guys I ran with most. And one from New Holland, Michigan.
Do you still see them?
A guy from New Holland comes down once in a while. There was a guy, he lives in Centralia, which is about 50 miles from us. I always try to go down to look him up. I never have found him, but I heard he runs a jewelry store down there. So hopefully one of these days we'll see him.
Mm-hmm. Do you go to any reunions or anything like that?
No.
Have you ever been back to see the ship that you were on?
I saw the ship on television. It's in the yards. It's in the mothball fleet in Philadelphia.
When you say mothball fleet, what do you mean by that?
It's decommissioned.
Okay. Did they send you a DVD when it was decommissioned or anything?
I've seen in the paper where they had one of the ads in the paper. Yes, it was a USS Long Beach Association, and I called in, and I get newspaper or a newsletter on about every quarter. So that's how I kind of keep up with what it was doing.
What veterans organizations do you belong to?
Legion,
Okay.
and 40 and 8, and DAV.
Okay. What did you do for recreation
Drank.
on the ship?
No. It didn't. There wasn't much recreation on the ship. No, they had a weight room. We'd lift weights and we run around our ship and stuff. It's a quarter mile. We make a lap around it. That was our recreation on the ship.
Okay. Did you have to pull like KP duty?
I was compartment cleaner for 3 months. That was instead of KP. I got compartment cleaning.
Okay, and what compartment cleaning?
Where we slept at. We had our division, and there was the missile house or the gunner's mates. We all slept in the same compartment, and I had to clean that compartment.
Okay. Did you have inspections and things like that on the ship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not as many as we had in boot camp and school, but we had inspections.
Did you have long hair when you enlisted?
Well, not real long. Maybe like Kent's, something like that.
What was it like when you got your hair cut?
We had to do that for basketball when I played basketball, so it wasn't that big a deal to me.
Okay. Where were you when your time ended with the service?
I got out in San Diego. The ship came back from, we was deployed. I think we got back like 27th of October, and as soon as we got out.
Mm-hmm.
We were just coming back from deployment.
Now, how long were you deployed out at a time?
They would vary from maybe 6 to 7 months. Some of them might be a little bit longer. I think 7 months was about the average for us.
Did you ever go to Vietnam?
The first time we got deployed, when I got on, we went to Bangkok, and come back from Bangkok, there was it was called the Greenville Victory. It was a refugee ship got taken over, and we were supposed to. And I just got on the ship, so I was supposed to board it the next day, but we didn't have to. I think they gave them some rice or something, and they calmed the situation down.
So, when you got into San Diego, can you remember what happened when you came home?
The last time?
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was getting out, so I had everything, my sea bags packed and civilian clothes, and they gave me pay and traveling time, and we all went up to the tavern, and we stayed there till there was a motel right around the corner, and we slept in there. Next day I caught a flight out back home.
So you stayed in San Diego for a few days?
For one night, I think.
One night?
Yeah.
Okay. And you flew back home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you fly into St. Louis?
Yes.
Okay. And did family members meet you in St. Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a reception or party?
No, nothing big. It was just my friends back we would start going out, but it wasn't that big a deal. Can't remember it being.
Did you take some time off when you?
Oh, about a week.
Mm-hmm. And then what did you do?
Went to work for the same place I thought I'd go to work since I graduated from high school.
And what was it?
It was an electrician at the little local place in Titopas, Weber Brothers.
Okay. And how long did you work there?
14 years.
Okay. Were you married when you? No. No. Okay. How did you readjust to civilian life?
I don't know. It just seemed like we just got back in. It wasn't that big. I didn't think it was. Had to watch our language more than because we were around sailors all the time and we could say about anything we wanted. That was probably the hardest thing.
Okay. But you didn't have anybody saying anything to you about being soldiers or anything like that?
Not that I can remember.
Mm-hmm. Have you been an electrician all your life?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you worked for the same company all your life?
I started my own business in '93.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How did your wartime experience affect your life?
I don't know. I guess it kind of gave you more confidence in doing stuff now than what we did before.
Did you marry at any time?
Nope.
No? Okay. Did you have any special buddies in boot camp?
Yeah. Yes. But once we got out of boot camp, I saw one of them. He got assigned to the Nimitz, carrier Nimitz, and he came down to San Diego, and I talked to him a little bit then. We was just getting ready to get deployed, and he asked us. I said, "Yeah, well, this would be our third one." He said, "I never even got out of the States."
So, did any of the guys in your advanced training go on the same boat as you?
No.
You all went on different boats?
Yeah, some of them, they've continued. They went to, they call it phase 2 of FTA school, and then some of them got assigned to ships. And I never did see any of those guys. Matter of fact, we weren't real close. I mean, we'd go to class, and then we'd take off, do our own things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about living in the barracks? How was that?
We lived in our quarters on the ship. It was, I never was married, so I lived on the ship, and we stood a lot of duty in the States. Guys would want to go home to their wives, and then we'd take their duty for them so they'd go home.
Even in advanced training, you lived on a ship?
No, in advanced training we was in Great Lakes, and that was, basically went to school, and about once every 2 weeks we'd have duty, which didn't amount to a whole lot.
What was the longest leave that you got?
I think I was off 3 weeks one time. I flew home for 3 weeks.
What'd you do?
Went home and partied with my friends for 3 weeks and went back.
Is writing the only way you stayed in touch with your family?
We could make phone calls, but usually writing was the big thing.
Was it through ham radio that you could make phone calls?
No, when we got back in San Diego, we could call. We'd just go out and pier and call. But overseas, I think I called home one time when I was overseas, but it was just writing and stuff.
Did you have plenty of supplies on the ship?
Meaning food and stuff?
What,
Yeah, sometimes we'd run low on some things, but we always had supplies.
what was it like living on the ship? Were you cramped?
Yeah, it was kind of, we had confined spaces, but it was just, you adapted. It was something you got used to. It wasn't, once you got used to it, wasn't that big a deal, you know.
Did you have trunks that you put your stuff in?
No, we had a locker.
A locker.
Yeah.
And what were like the showers and things like that like?
Oh, I guess the ship was built in the 60s. It was commissioned in late 50s or early 60s, so it was about 15 years old. The showers and restrooms were I guess they were modern, you know. We had once in a while we'd have to go in water hard, but when our evaporators or something broke down, but otherwise we didn't have to worry too much about water, fresh water.
Did you have, how many people did the ship actually hold?
We would have we probably had 1,300 at the most, with anywhere from 900 to 1,200, depending on guys getting out and stuff like that. The more people, when we had 1,200, everything with chow lines were longer and everything was longer when you had longer weights and stuff.
How many ships were you on?
What?
Just one?
Son one, yeah.
Just Long Beach? Okay. Did you have anything that you kept with you for good luck?
St. Christopher's Medal, I think.
Okay. Who gave that to you?
I think my mom did.
Do you still have that?
I got it somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I don't know if I could find it.
Okay. Did you have any entertainers come on the ship?
Yeah, we had a couple bands coming on. I mean, they were like the 7th Fleet dance band and stuff like that.
Did you, when you went offshore or onshore,
Yeah.
did you see any entertainers?
What do you mean, like big name entertainers? Not that I can remember.
Like Bob Hope or
No,
anything like that? Okay. Okay.
We was in '76, July 4th, we was in San Diego, and they had a big celebration. There was a carrier, Constellation. It was across the harbor from us, and it was on television, but you know, we could see it, but we didn't. That was as close as we ever come to seeing big name entertainment.
Did you get off the ship that day?
We were just standing on our ship watching it, you know, seeing what we could see.
Was there any time that you weren't allowed to get off the ship?
Meaning?
They wouldn't let you have liberty because something was going on?
Oh, we could get off. Once every 4 days, typhoon hit one time. We were supposed to be on the ship, a lot of times a couple times they called us off. We were on liberty and we had to get back to the ship and get underway.
Do you recall any particular humorous or unusual events?
On the ship, I remember I was supposed to get out in July, 4 years, and then I extended for duration of the cruise, and we was heading down south to Australia, and I got told to stay on station. And I said, you don't know what's going on, and if they could extend you if you got in a conflict or a war. And I figured they was going to extend, and I talked to our battery officer, and he said, we're just waiting for the Kansas, our supply ship. If we go down there, we'll be way ahead of it, so we're giving it a day's head start. So that made me feel a lot better.
Did you take a lot of pictures?
No.
You didn't have a camera?
I didn't take too many. I had one, but I didn't know how to use it very good.
Okay. Did you keep a personal diary?
No.
No. Did you use the GI Bill or any other kind of?
None.
Not at all.
Nope.
Okay. Do you use any veterans services now?
Not now, but I think I will be in a few years.
What would you tell if some young child came, or some young man or woman came up to you and asked you if they should join the service? What would you tell them?
I think I'll tell them, yeah, it was a good experience. You learned something, but I would tell them definitely join the Navy, and but I mean it's a good experience. You can learn a lot, and then you get the GI Bill. You can go to school, stuff like that, and then 4 years you can decide what you want to do more than when you're 17 years old. If you're going to go to college, you may not like what you decide that. Pick your major, whatever they call that, and you may decide you don't like that. If you got 4 years in the Navy or whatever, you would know more what you want to do. So I'd recommend it.
What is the one positive thing or negative thing that you came out of this Navy with?
They were definitely more positive. There were negatives. I mean, I just thought it was a good experience for me. I would never trade it for anything in the world. It was best. I saw places I'd never see now. I met people I never would meet, and I just thought it was a positive experience. And then you can tell people you're a veteran. That's something. That's probably the best thing.
Okay. What are some of the life lessons you learned from military service?
Well, you got to pay attention to detail. I mean, if you do that, it just makes it. I'd say that, and everybody's the same. It don't matter what color or anything. You're all the same. Color or race or religion or anything. We're all the same. And there's good people and bad people, and I guess that's the biggest lesson I learned.
Mm-hmm. How has your military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
I think before you go to war, you got to be sure you know what you're doing, and before you commit kids to get killed, which every war there is, you got to definitely know what you're doing. And I would think you want to think first before you commit to war. You don't want to jump into it right away.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will view this interview?
I would say for future generations, I would just say I never saw any combat, but I'm happy, I'm proud to say I was in the U.S. Navy, and I'm proud to say I'm a veteran. That's what I hope they get from it.
Why do you think the Navy is the best one?
Because that's what I was in. Plus, you get the Navy. I've had some of my friends who are through the Legion. We're in different branches of the service. And they said, "Where were you at?" Well, I was here. I was in Kansas City for 3 years. Well, I saw about 20, 30 different places I'd never seen. Not that many, but 15 and 20 places I'd never been if it hadn't been in the Navy and experienced things.
Okay, if you were talking to a new veteran, what would you tell them about joining a veterans organization?
Well, that's the way. We don't need it. I myself don't need it, but there's people that need veterans care. I mean, the care of the VA. And the more people that are in these service organizations, that's when your senators listen and your people in Congress listen. If there's 300 3,000 or 3 million, they're listening to the 3 million more. So that's why it's important to join as many veterans organizations as you can. That's what I think.
Okay. Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
No, I think you guys did an excellent job. I'm just sorry my story wasn't as good as most people's.
Your story was very good.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, I would like to thank you for your time and service that you've given our country. And I would also like to thank you with honoring me and Kent for giving us the opportunity to hear your story firsthand.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys doing this. Not just for everybody, so I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.